An extraordinary choice by the prosecution to play that interview almost in its entirety of our own Sean Hannity interviewing George Zimmerman in that sit-down exchange that happened a year ago, last July, with his attorney, Mark O'Mara, present, and not subject to cross-examination. The prosecution made this decision. That was the prosecution playing that tape. Joining me now to comment on this, Judge Alex Ferrer. He's still with us, host of Judge Alex, and Judge Andrew Napolitano, our Fox News senior judicial analyst, standing by as well. Judge Napolitano, let me start with you. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I haven't, Megyn, and it really is a head-scratcher. Judge Ferrer knows more about Florida law and procedure than I do, but it appears as though the government has made a conscious choice to demonize the defendant and to try and demonstrate to the jury slight differences in the version of the same events that he gave at different times before the trial, so as to set him up for a major cross-examination when and if he testifies. But he doesn't have to testify. There has been so much of him in front of this jury at the choice of the government. All of the explanations he gave are lucid. The differences between them are minuscule. I honestly think that the government has been shooting itself in the foot, and with what they did today, they shot themselves in both feet.
Judge Alex, I listen to that. I think that's the defense putting that on.
That's pretty much how the whole case has gone, Megyn. I mean, frankly, every day I listen to the evidence, I listen to the testimony, and it feels like the movie Groundhog's Day, because everything keeps repeating itself.
Why would they do that? But why? Well, I realize they're trying to find inconsistencies in Zimmerman's story, because he gave several accounts. There's at least 5 accounts, and they're going to try to point here he said this here, but they already have 4 or 5 others outside of Hannity. That exchange, I mean, you tell me, how did Zimmerman come across? What did he say that was particularly helpful to the prosecution? Why would they make the decision to play that?
I think it shows how desperate the prosecution is right now. They're willing to take the little crumbs they can get out of impeachment. He said this instead of that. And they're willing to risk the jury hearing a sympathetic presentation of the self-defense story over and over and over again. I mean, what they got out of this, okay, it doesn't look good for George Zimmerman to say, I think it was God's plan. Really? It was God's plan that you shoot an unarmed 17-year-old boy? That might tick off the jury a little bit.
And FYI, according to our in-court producer, when that piece of that interview played, Trayvon's mother, who is known to be a religious woman, looked away and down from the screen and then later looked over at the jury. Go ahead, sir.
So I think they got a hit on that. The second one was when he asked them about was there a conscious thought in your mind that you were about to be killed? And he said, I wish I could tell you. Well, I guarantee you, I'm going to let you finish your point. I'm sorry to be so annoying, but we actually queued that up. And let me play that again for the viewers, and then you'll finish your thought after. Sure.
Was there a conscious thought that went through your head that you thought you were going to die and that you had to take this, you had to get your weapon and fire?
I'd love to give you an answer.
You don't know.
It just happened so quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
And I think the prosecution is going to jump all over that, because the requirement for use of deadly force in a self-defense setting is you must be in imminent fear of death or great bodily harm. And they're going to say he's admitting he can't even say that he was in fear for his life right then. So they're going to use that. However, if you take it in context, which O'Mara, under the rule of completeness, is going to argue you should, well, it's already in evidence anyway, but he's going to argue the rest of the statement, which before that he said, when were you in fear for your life? And he said, when he was smashing my head on the concrete. So clearly, you can't quite parse it out of concrete, but I think it just shows the prosecution is really desperate right now. They've made the self-defense claim. At this point, I don't think you have a chance of seeing George Zimmerman on the stand. I don't think he's testifying.
I mean, is there any?
He doesn't have to. The self-defense claim has been put before the jury, and now it is the state's burden to overcome it beyond a reasonable doubt.
The state's burden, not the defense's burden.
Yes.
No, not at all. The defense has to do is present it, and the prosecution did that for them.
That's the thing, Judge Napolitano. I mean, if you, more and more, day by day, as the prosecution witnesses have given so much evidence that is helpful to the defense, not all, of course, some has been helpful to the prosecution, but so much that is helpful to the defense. Is there any way you would put Zimmerman on the stand now? The jury has heard his version, and the man has not been subject to cross.
I can't imagine putting Zimmerman on the stand unless something comes in between now and the time they rest, and I believe that they're close to resting, which compels an explanation from the defense that they cannot get in out of the mouth of another witness. but the prosecution has a weak case here. This is a dangerous intersection of racial politics and law, where the racial politics not animating this prosecution. The prosecutor should be free to say, you know what, this is not a second-degree murder case. Our witnesses are weak. They're going to help the defense as well as they're going to help us. We should charge him with a much lesser crime, and we have a better chance of convicting, or we should not charge him with anything. They're not stupid. They know they have a weak case, and they're putting it on anyway because of the public pressure to prosecute this guy.
That's how we got here. That's how we got here. The police officers did not want to bring charges.
And that's not the way these things are supposed to work.
And the state, the attorney general and the governor sat down and decided this needed to be pursued, and that's how we got to trial. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. We appreciate your insights. I want to tell you now to the audience, they've now put on the